get to see all the greatness I possess, endless possibilities. Look in the mirror, what do I see?
Welcome. Today, another segment of the Seek ELLAvation experience. I want to start off with saying Luol Deng, a former NBA player. Luol Deng. What a great name. Dang. What a great name. Luol Deng. Luol Deng played in the NBA for 15 years. And he made a lot of money doing it, a lot of money playing in the NBA. But that's not the story today. If you've been listening to Seek ELLAvation, you know it's always deeper than the story I actually bring. The story today, in bringing up Luol Deng, is the story about what he did while the checks were coming in. This is something important for us to do and to know. Yeah, Luol may have been an NBA player, but the teaching principles, the motivational aspects, the inspirational aspects is universal. Whatever you're doing, if you have money coming in, this is applicable to you. Today, his asset portfolio is valued over $200 million, over $200 million. And that doesn't happen by accident. This is something that is intentional. To get to that point, it is very intentional. Unless you're landing like a one-time big deal like Charlemagne on The Breakfast Club, who it was reported signed a $200 million contract deal with a podcast, unless you're doing one-off deals like that. But if you're looking at building your wealth, building your legacy, and it's something that's done over time, this is applicable to you. And it's done very intentional. Because today we're going to talk about what happens when someone truly understands ownership and uses all of their assets to do it. Welcome again to the Seek ELLAvation experience. I am attorney Elakeisha O'Kelly, also known as the empowerment influencer, the ownership attorney. Yes, I am an attorney, but I'm not yours. So any information that I talk about on this platform is not to give you legal advice. It is to give you information to dig deeper, to see if it applies to your situation. And if it does, to do something about it, because now you have the knowledge. But knowledge is nothing until you do something with it. I do advocate for creatives, sports professionals, and founders, especially those who are first gen. So the topics that I talk about is connected to all of those areas. And it is done in a way to create a space for elevation, transformation, and clarity to empower individuals who are rising, who are redefining themselves, and daring to step into their highest potential. You know, the people the people who want to become the very best version of themselves and own every step of their journey. So, if you are building, you are creating, you are leading, and you're definitely focused on evolving, this is your platform. So let's go ahead and get into this story. I don't want to say story. Let's get into this message. Let's go ahead today and get into this message. I'm gonna roll my sleeves up because this is awesome. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love elevating. I love empowering. Uh, Not just myself. I have an insatiable appetite of continuing to find the best version, rediscovering, I should say, not find, rediscovering the best version of myself daily. Daily. I always tell myself, this day is going to be the best day yet. The best day yet. This day is going to be that, leading up to the best year yet. And I don't just hold that to myself, I pour it out. I want my cup to be so full and pour it over for us all to make this our best day yet, our best year yet, and our best life yet. So today, speaking of this gentleman right here, Luol Deng, like I said, NBA player, but this is not a basketball story. This is definitely an ownership lesson. And I want to talk, or actually, I want to walk you through. I'm going to talk about different points, but I want to walk you through 4 points that, in me researching him and getting information, how I see that this happened. And more importantly, how I also see how many people miss these things in everyday situation, everyday opportunities, how we miss it. We sometimes have our heads down and our grind in, and we're hustling in each moment. Each moment. And that moment serves its purpose, and it's gone. And then we're creating and trying to recreate another moment and another moment. But we're not going to do that, right? We are on a mission of legacy building, wealth building, and living in riches. All of those things look totally different, but together creates one. And a lot of times we stay focused on the riches, focusing on just getting the riches in life. And then you have a few that focus on getting the wealth in life. You have beyond riches. You have those things that can continue to, add more value to you and not just focus on one situation after another to continue to build riches. But then that legacy is the riches and the wealth, and it actually lives even beyond you. And actually, it shows up in places, in spaces before your physical presence shows up there. That's what legacy does too. Legacy is not just about when you exit out of here. There's a living legacy. Living legacy is just a notch up from wealth. So let us continue to climb those rungs of ladders. Don't climb the rungs of the rat race. Let's climb the rungs of the ladder that is for us to continue to get to the highest version of ourselves. So let us not get stuck at chasing riches. Let us not even get stuck at wealth. Let us get to the point of living legacy where we can live our best lives yet. And so, Luol Deng, thank you for giving me something to bring this point home today. So, Luol, he earned, as I mentioned, his money from NBA income. But he realized that this income was not just his security. He did not treat this income coming in as a basketball player as security. And so a lot of times you'll have us who sign a big contract deal in sports, sign a big contract deal in entertainment or as a creative, make this big business deal as founders and entrepreneurs, and we create those big deals as security. And big is relative. Whatever one finds to be the next big thing. We treat that as the security until we realize it's not, until we realize that income is temporary. Money is energy, it continues to flow in and flow out. Even high income, my high earners, my profitable sports professionals, my profitable creatives, my profitable entrepreneurs. You know this. You know this. We know that income is temporary, and that's why we stay on our grind. We know that contracts end. We know that careers end. And we definitely, for sure, all of us know that our bodies change. So those things are fleeting, they're variables. So, what Luel understood, what appears to be very early, is that income is not an asset, income is a tool. And that's what we, as legacy drivers, understand. We understand income is a tool. And what do we do with tools? We use them to put together the things that we want to put together. We use them as conduits for things that we want the final outcome of. They're not in and of themselves the thing. So income is a tool. Why would we continue to just hustle and hustle and hustle to keep getting the tool and not applying it to getting the final outcome, to use the tools to build our life, to build our legacy? Most people build their life, or they focus on creating their life around what they earn instead of using what they earn, the tool, to build their life. If you have the ownership mindset and whatever you're doing, you build your life using what you earn. You convert. That's a word that's big, conversion. A lot of times we hear this word, especially if you are selling any products or services to the public. You have to understand conversion, right? So that word is important. You convert whatever you're doing. If you have an ad, if you have a message, if you're using social media and you're sharing content, your goal is to convert what you're putting out into something tangible, convert tangible clients. And that's the same thing with life. Whatever we earn, we use that to convert to the outcome. Income pays you only one time. You signed that big deal, you signed that contract deal. Income is going to pay you that one time. Even if that contract is stretched over 10 years, that one lump sum that we agreed to in this business venture, that's the lump sum. It's paying you that one time over a period of time or at that one particular time. But ownership, it continues to stay when the checks stop. Let us pause there. Let's continue to sink this in. Income once, ownership continues to stay even when the checks stop. So our tools are used for that. Understanding everything I just said is point one. Understanding that income funds the mission. Income is the tool. Income is not the end. It is a means to the end. So when we put all of our effort and energy, our strategy, our structure, we're putting it into a thing to get to an end until we do another end and another end. And money's not it. Money, income funds the mission. And that is something Luol Deng definitely understood when he said, I'm taking this NBA money and I'm not treating it as security. I'm treating it as a tool. You know, a lot of times we'll get this money and we'll be excited that it leveled our life up in a way that wasn't. And we just think about just spending. This is what it's for. I got the money. Now the thing. Instead of shifting our mindset that I got the tools to build everything that I want, even when I stop. Point two, and looking at Luol, is asset for him was the strategy. He knew that I have this tool and there's this thing that I'm building. And what I want to build is assets. Not focusing on building more and more and more and more income, but building assets that will continue to work for the income. It was the strategy. Not flexing. That wasn't the strategy. Getting this money to flex about how much money he has, that wasn't the strategy. Let's talk about this. How many times do we not only chase the money, but have the same reasons of why we are chasing that money? Chasing that money to flex that we have money. Let's talk about it. What we're going to talk about to shift our mindset of ownership, to shift our mindset from survival mode to thriving mode. We got to talk about the hard things and be honest about it. Let's be honest about it. Even if it's not the hard things, it's probably the embarrassing thing, the taboo thing, whatever thing it is, let us talk about it. Let's call it out. So when we call it out, we face it and we fix it. One of the things that we focus on when it comes to money is our goal is to get a lot of it so we can flex. Let's post our beautiful picture on social media, our home, all of our designer wear, so people can say, oh, wow, that's status. Now, yes, there is strategy to status symbols because that's just, I'm not even gonna say that's the American way. That's has caught on to so many different places. It's societal way. A lot of times to position yourself. Posturing is very important depending on what you do, who you're affiliated with, what you affiliate yourself with. Those things come into play because in society, people a lot of times are not even attracted to the the information or that wonderful product that you may have developed and have for them, or that exceptional service that gives them great experience. They're not even attracted to that. They probably won't even make it to the point of experiencing those things until they first are attracted to you, to your company. And a lot of times that does take flexing a certain way. So it does have its place. But I'm talking about our ownership mindset, building legacy. We are above and beyond that. That is just a tactic we may use and compartmentalize for a thing. That is not a definer for our life and our existence. We don't focus on income as a flex for our life and our existence when we have an ownership mindset. That's not the strategy. And so Luol, what he did, he said, okay, I'm going to focus on assets as my strategy. So I'm going to use this income to pour into my assets. And one of the things that he really put his income into is real estate. And for him, it wasn't a trend. So we do hear a lot of times individuals bring up things to get involved in and to do, and it's very trendy. And you know when it's trendy when you get involved in something, you insert yourself in something, and you do not do the due diligence to get the information and the knowledge to do it. So you'll have a lot of people step into something because someone said, okay, well, to build your asset portfolio, you have to focus on stocks, investments that way. And they pour into it and then they lose so much and they walk away and they're like, it didn't work. Or individuals say, hey, real estate is the way to go. They pour into it, walk away and say it didn't work. Well, they also didn't do their due diligence to be educated in those areas. What type of different stocks are there? You have index stocks. Like what stocks are riskier, not as riskier? How much should I put in stocks that are more riskier? How much should I put in these index stocks, stocks that are more controlled and understanding? What type of stocks are there? You can invest in things, not just companies or products. You can have real estate investment trust, meaning that you invest in stocks that are called REITs stocks. There's so much there just to learn. So doing a due diligence and while inserting yourself into something new to build your assets are important. Don't just make it a trend. And for him, real estate was not a trend. It was not about buying all these properties and posting these properties, what their properties are, or doing a flip for attention, flipping homes for attention. It wasn't about that. For Luol, Mr. Deng, it was about leverage. It was about control, understanding depreciation, appreciation, cash flow, understanding all of that is what I got from researching him, really doing the thing that needs to be done. It gave, when I say it, real estate gave Luol something basketball could never. Is that not, isn't that the saying? Could never. Real estate gave Luol predictability after all of the spotlight. Even with the, like I said, the NBA, bodies change, things change. But with his real estate portfolio, it gave him the predictability he need. Yes, in life, there's of course a lot of things that are unpredictable, a lot of things that are beyond our control. Outside of those things, there's things that you can get involved in that you have a lot more control over than other things. Real estate's one of them, especially when you're educated on how to utilize that real estate portfolio. Again, not just to buy and say it's real estate, but to buy and learn and see how that asset can be used, slice and dice in so many ways, making it income, producing property to so many other different things. And that's what he actually did. But so wait, here's the part that people miss. As I'm speaking about sharing it and what is the flex, it's the strategy, the most powerful assets that we can garner are often very boring. That's what I'm learning, just behind the scenes of the things that my husband and I, for our family, is working on and doing. It's a lot. It's especially when you have to educate yourself and bring yourself up to speed. A lot of it can be very boring. It's not flashy. It's not so flashy what people see, right? And they catch on to those trends and then they realize it quickly. If you don't do the boring thing, then you say it didn't work and then you drop out of whatever you're doing. The assets that actually changes your life from existing, merely existing to full out living, are the things that don't need applauses. And those are the assets that don't need the applauses. What they need is your consistency, my consistency, our consistency, and attention to it to continue to educate ourselves, not to get and to show off, but to get and to show out. So that is point two. My sports professionals, my creatives, my entrepreneurs. Assets is the strategy, not the flex. The assets you get. And speaking of which, earlier when I said even the designers and this and that, and that's the beautiful thing about branding. Before I get to point three, I want to point that out. That is the beautiful thing about branding, because if we're going to talk about ownership, when we affiliate ourselves with certain brands, is because those brands more than likely created a certain message that we want to attach ourselves to communicate to the world. We are aligned with that message, whether it's a message of prestige, luxury, exclusivity. We're trying to attach ourselves to that message. Even at times where most of our lives are not even a part of that. To give us some type of solace before we attain that level of prestige, exclusivity, we'll attach ourselves to the brand that say that we are before we even arrive there. Fine. Point received. However, what's important to learn there, especially if you're someone who's attaching yourself or affiliating yourself to display that message, is how important branding is. No matter what you're doing, my sports professionals, my creatives and founders, there is a brand that is attached to you. What message is that brand conveying that people want to affiliate themselves with? Branding is very important, which is why we seek it out. One of the biggest debates that you will hear a lot is between the iPhone users and Android users. And for me personally, look, I have both. I have iPhone and Android. iPhone, I had to get because most of my clients had iPhones. And to keep things seamless from messaging to document sharing and all the things, it was important to get an iPhone just for convenience. But I'm an Android woman. I love Android. And that's because simplicity. I love simplicity. I love simplicity. So Android for me is great. iPhone messaging is one thing and Android messaging is another. And so a lot of individuals attach themselves to iPhones. They become these iPhone cults that if you don't have iPhone, you're this, you're that. And then you have the people with Androids that come in. No, Android's the best and is this and that. But there's messaging between the two things and the reason why we get them. And so, yes, affiliating ourselves. So I bring that up and took a little detour because I wanted to back up and say, the things we get, the flashy lifestyle, the statement pieces to create messages. I want you to focus on you as well, creating those statement pieces for yourself. And all those brands that we do get that communicates a message, iPhone, Samsung's, all the Androids, Louis Vuitton, Louboutin, Jimmy Choo, whatever it is, and creating those messages, they also have ownership mindset, level up and make sure that their brands are federally protected and federally prospered. So if we're talking about shifting ourselves mentally to an ownership mindset in this segment in particular and in our conversations in general. We have to make sure that our brands, the same way that we seek out other people brands, as we're building our ownership portfolio, as we're shifting our ownership minds, that we're doing those same things. We're speaking the same language. We're attracting our clientele, our customers, our fan base, whatever it is, the same way that those things attract you. So as we're building our portfolio, as we're shifting our mind to create ownership, I just wanted to take a pit stop to say you are a brand, you have a brand as well. And I hope as we're doing these things to garner ownership, we're doing all of the things that we need to do. So make sure that you federally register and protect your brand. So to close out point 2, as I took a detour before I go to point 3, while others are always constantly focusing on, especially in the sports world, upgrading lifestyles, Luol was upgrading his structure. What was Jay-Z's line? I'm not a businessman, I'm a businessman. And that's what he hammered in. So point 3, not only did he do all these things that I mentioned in point 1, he decided that next level was the next thing. I'm not just doing this here in the United States. I'm going to take it global. So he had global vision and thinking to expand his legacy, his living legacy. I'm going global. Luol did not just limit his thinking of what he wanted to build and to do to here in the United States. He took his portfolio and started investing globally, including investing in major development projects in Africa. That matters. How are we thinking? What is our mindset? If we're talking about ownership mindset, leveling up our life and not just lifestyle, we have to think bigger. That's what it takes. In order for us to live bigger, do bigger, be bigger, we have to think bigger. So whatever it is that you write down and you want to do, whatever your plans are, your goal is, go revisit it and go bigger. Whatever it is today, that's your assignment for today. Whatever you have written down, because I hope you are writing it down, and if you did not, go write it. You have to write the vision and make it clear. Write the vision and make it clear. One of our struggles, and I even have struggled with this, especially as someone who is a visionary, we'll get a lot of thoughts. We get a lot of visions. We get downloads into our mind, and they're all over the place. And we can see it. We clearly can see all of the pieces to the puzzle in our own mind. But when we try to even convey it to other people, it can sound so confusing. They cannot hear or get it. We can, because it's our download. But the more clear we get, even with our own download, the better the vision is for us. Because we'll get all the pieces at first, but we're supposed to put all those pieces together in a very cleared, structured way. So my test is, if I cannot communicate to someone else clearly and understandably what my vision is, I have to continue to write until I'm able to do that, until I'm able to simplify that. That has become my test. Write the vision and make it clear. So now, after you write it down, whatever you write down, go bigger. Because as a legacy builder, as an individual now with an ownership mindset, you're not just looking for status quo opportunities. You're not just trying to follow the crowd. Where everyone else is, where everyone else is very crowded. But let me tell you a secret that I learned. Let me move in. It is not crowded at the top. It is not crowded at the top. Where everyone else is very crowded. So what does that tell you? What does that message tell you alone? There are way more people comfortable and operate and moving in the status quo, and less more people at the top. To be at the top is to think, do, and be bigger. Now, this is a gem I'm sharing with you that I received, that came to me, and it literally has been changing and changing and changing my life. There is a lot that comes with that, a lot of expectation from you. Heavy is that head that wears the crown. A lot of cliches that have been said have been ringing so true and understandably to me over the past 2 years after taking action. Heavy is the, for sure, head that wears the crown. So think bigger. It is not crowded at the top. And also at the top, because I know a lot of times we may say, everybody's doing this. Somebody already beat me to that. Someone is showing up, providing this service or this product. Well, firstly, let me say to that is not one person can serve the billions of people in this world. And if you narrow it down to how many people are in your state, not one person can effectively serve everybody in your state. Even if it's, when I say one person, I'm not even talking about just an individual person. Even if it's a person that has a company, not one company can serve effectively, intimately everybody. So you're still needed. And if it's in your heart and it's in your mind, you're definitely needed because there is no one like you. So how you do what you do is already going to be different because it comes from you. But more importantly, when you think bigger, where it's not crowded, you will find yourself landing amongst individuals who continue to look where systems are still being built. Whatever you're doing, whatever you're offering, there's still something in that thing that's still being built. As we talked about with the iPhone or with the Android. At one time, there was the flip phone and the other type of phone. There was the dial-up phones, the regular home phones. Even though those things were offered, there were things still being built. There was room for things to still be built. We could have still been here in 2026 to what we had in 1996. We could have still had beepers and going to payphones if there weren't people who thought bigger and not just stayed in the crowd, but thought bigger, where it's plenty of room, and where people were thinking about what's still needing to be built with what already exists. So when you think bigger and you go up, it's never overcrowded. And it doesn't matter what's already being offered. You will already be thinking about what still needs to be built. What I'm saying right now is this is not charity language. This is infrastructure thinking. This is what is going to continue to separate us. This is why here on Seek Elevation, in this particular space, this is a space where we come to level up. And you know where else leveling up comes from? Not stumbling upon, but happening upon, being disciplined in, emerging, immersing in information that helps with transformation. But most importantly, that helps with confirmation. When you discover the knowledge that's already confirming what's in you, but is giving you some more clarity or inspiration for that transformation, that this is where it's amazing. But those individuals who just stay and don't seek out elevation, stays within that status quo, this is where things start to break. This is where people break off from the few up there to the many down here. Seeking out information, seeking out your elevation is you investing in yourself. Using your income and understanding it's a tool is investing in your development. Investing in yourself, investing in your development, you are investing in your future, which is a promise for us, a promise to have a future, not just returns. And as a first generation thinker, as a first generational trailblazer that I am, I understand this at an instinctive level, very instinctive level. I see gaps, and where I see gaps, I see opportunity for structure, and I know structure turns what I see, my awareness, into leverage. And so whether you first gen or not, that applies to you in that point 3, which was to go bigger, think bigger. Luol thought from US to global to build his asset. You're thinking from that tunnel to a whole mountain, from that little rock to a whole mountain. You're thinking bigger. Go back, revisit your goals and your vision, and then go bigger. Next point, and last point. And looking at Luol, what's applicable to you, my sports professionals, my creatives, my entrepreneurs, I'm going to keep saying that, is discipline. Discipline is very important, and we hear that all the time. And what does that mean? We hear it so much so that it just became a word we throw out, especially when we're trying to flex in what we do. I'm disciplined. But discipline is a word that you don't have to sell. It shows up. If you are very disciplined, this is what I realize as in my own life. If you are very disciplined, you don't have to tell someone you're disciplined. They're going to tell you. They're like, you are so disciplined. I see what you're doing. Like, you are disciplined. If you have to convince someone else you're disciplined, you may have to look in the mirror and have a conversation with yourself about your discipline. And this is the part that no one celebrates in real time. Discipline. People see it. They say it. But even those of us who are disciplined don't always take the time to celebrate it. We do it. We know we got to lock in. And what Luol did in his discipline, because this is where it comes in at, right? And you know the root word of discipline? I had to take a quick, it just popped in my head. It's, you know, sometimes I have these thoughts to just be going, even while I'm speaking. Disciple. Are you a disciple of your visions and dreams? Are you a true disciple of it? When you become a true disciple of your visions, of your heart's desires or desires put on your heart, you become disciplined. And Luol, in his discipline, as an NBA player that could use his money to fund his lifestyle instead of his life mission, he decided I'm going to live below my means. Why? While earning at the highest level, because I am disciplined and creating these tools to build the outcome that I want. I'm going to live below my means. I'm not going to have my friends, my family, all these new people that I've never known before gouge out of me everything I'm making. I'm not funding the whole block with the income that is coming in. If he so choose to now provide for and do for and all the other things for all whoever, that can be done with the resources and the assets that those tools build, the resources and the assets that will continue to give, then use from that. But his discipline was these tools that are coming in. I'm going to resist the narrative of once I become this NBA player, I have to subscribe to lifestyle inflation. I'm going to resist that narrative. And I'm going to live below my means. And to be honest with you, when a lot of us even live below our means, it's still living and it's great. It's just not a flex. That you feel it's not something to flex, but we have everything that we need and some things that we may want. It's okay to live below your means while you're using these means to get you to this end. That's ownership mindset. That's changing the narrative. But may I add, discipline is the foundation. The nice, solid foundation that allows you not to sink. But what do you add to the top of that foundation that brings you super next level? Connection, mentorship, sponsorship from individuals, collaborations that are completely aligned to help you get to where you are traveling. With Luol, he surrounded himself around people who understood not the NBA, not how to play the game better, not how to market yourself to look more flashier. He surrounded himself around people who understood capital at an institutional level. And his mentor, Jamie Dimon, who is, I believe, the current CEO of JP Morgan Chase, is the epitome of that. There is a saying that someone can look at your life and tell you who your closest 4 or 5 people are. Look at someone's life and say, "I can see your interests of your closest 4 or 5 people." And one of the things I started doing, especially as my life elevated to a new chapter, new things started to show themselves. I didn't quite understand how to uh, move with it, address it, capitalize on it, whatever. I started to identify individuals that been there, done that. Surround myself around those people. I've always been a person who was I'm a very solo person. And there's reasons for that, I believe, especially as a visionary, someone who just don't have time to waste, don't believe in wasting time, don't subscribe to a lot of different things. There's reasons my success was attained just functioning the way I have. But I also realized that as I continue to hit new and new levels and aim for more and more levels, as I continue to write my vision, but go bigger with intentionality, I'm developing a core group of individuals around me that speaks directly into those areas that needs to have life spoken into them, that needs to have direction spoken into them, and vice versa. Intentionally surrounding myself around people where my knowledge and skills and expertise elevates the entire situation. So very intentional with that. So you and what you're doing, whether you're someone who found yourself as solo is your thing, we're very energy people. We can feel things, so we are very protective of our energy, or you're someone who has a whole crew, a whole squad, a whole entourage. Whatever side of the spectrum you're on, reevaluate all of that and be very intentional in how you are operating in either on either end of the spectrum. Be very intentional because that is a part of your life. Nothing should just be just because. It's a part of your life. So if you keep that thought in mind, if someone was to look at my life, who are the closest 4 or 5 people that they would be able to identify? Is it people that is elevating you just as much as you're elevating? Is it people that are stagnant? Is it people that are fearful? Is it the people that make excuses? Is it complainers? What are they? Let that reflect from you. So start reevaluating your closest circle, your intentional circle. You could still have all different types of people, but that intentional circle, when you show up, can people call oh man, you have to be connected to someone who completely understands capital at an institutional level. You have to have a portfolio worth over $200 million. You are connected, affiliated, with very knowledgeable people, experiential people that have experience, not just study, read, or call themselves a professional, but experience. That matters because who you learn from, who you build with, determines how far you're going to think. We only know what we know until we know something different. Just like here, you're a listener, a viewer of this empowerment podcast where I come to you every week to pour into you information and knowledge, my personal experiences. So as I continue to bust down doors, push out ceilings, I'm bringing you with me. I'm giving you. I am gate breaking, not gatekeeping for you. The same way you hear this now, you also build up that intentional group. It helps you to think more. You'll hear something and say, "Ah, I didn't think about it that way," or "I didn't think about that at all." So you'll have that with the groups that you're around. It expands your visions. Opening books, even if it's not a physical, tangible person in your circle, create your circle of people in your books. The books you read help you to think differently. If you open up a magazine, you may see pictures. You pick a luxury magazine, a luxury home magazine, luxury traveling magazine. Pick them up, right? You open up the magazine and you see pictures. You'll probably see homes that you never could imagine could be built. You open up a travel magazine, you see a place that you could never imagine look like that. What is it? Maldives? I believe because it's somewhere where my husband and I are going to go visit. There's a lot going on internationally right now, so I'm not really pressed really quickly right now to travel internationally, but it's definitely on our list. We're going to experience different places. I never that place looks so I never imagined water being that beautiful. I've been to a place in Jamaica where where we stayed on a resort, the water was so beautifully blue. I mean, you could look straight down. It was gorgeous. But when I look at this place at Maldives and the way that everything was just set up, the way that you can sit in these relaxing areas on the water, I just couldn't imagine. But now it's in my vision because I was able to see it. So expands my thinking. And when it expands my thinking, even when I have my visions, I can vision and think bigger. That plateau of thinking, a new barrier has been broken. So now I'm thinking here. And each time I see more, I think here and see more, I think here. It's the same thing with putting people around you, opening those books, mentorship, if that's what you want to call it. There's also sponsorship. You just all types of people that pour into you, circles, collaborations. It's not motivation. It is actually exposure. You getting with more people and getting people around you. And I don't mean getting more people. You don't have to go find 50, 60, 70 more people. I'm saying being intentional of creating your circle, your contacts expands your vision. It expands, it is exposure. Discipline controls your behavior. That's what discipline does, that foundation. And then those connections expands your vision. So imagine with a controlled behavior, concentrated, very concerted effort behavior, and add expanded vision to that. Together, you multiply your outcome. And that's what Luol saw. Very disciplined person, use his income as a tool and had a vision, rejected status quo, rejected narratives, and put all of those things together to multiply his outcome, his now more than $200 million portfolio. So I love this. Even in my research, the things that I continue to be motivated by. And to be honest with you, when I started this podcast, which has transformed to different iterations over the years, and we are now in season 4. Like this, today is officially season 4, and I'm so happy to uh, start off season 4 like this message. But in its iterations, one of the things that I had to do was started with just wanting to feed and give gems to individuals because of my personal experiences with my clients, being in legal, being a transformational speaker, having conversations, meeting people. There were constant things that kept coming up that I'm like, oh my gosh, if so many more people knew this. So it started with just pouring out gems to give information, to hopefully impact transformation, to bringing people on to share stories, to going deeper with gems, to even just now share in real time even my research. Because I rather, if I didn't have the Seek ELLAvation podcast, this is what I would do regardless. I'm a researcher. I've always researched. I've always lived every day with the aim and focus of living my best life while being appreciative of my current life. And so now the iteration, especially going into season 4, is sharing even the information that I learned, sharing my experiences and the breakthroughs that I have, sharing how I help my clients break through that information or that step or just that energy. This is why I focus on teaching ownership before just even talking about opportunity. This is what's going to change a lot of people's lives. Ownership can be defined differently. Some people want to own this, some people want to own that. I don't want to own, but you need to own something, even if that means owning your voice. Ownership, not just living happenstance, owning our space, owning ourself, owning our mind, owning our brands, owning what we do in this world. This is why I do that. And so today's segment, using Luol, I wanted to definitely drive home the fact that income is not let us just stop focus on chasing the income. Money funds the mission, so it's important. So let's get that very clear. I want to make very clear where I do stand differently than some people who teaches certain things where don't focus on the money, don't do this. Yeah, no, income funds the mission. Don't let that be your only driver. Let it be something that drives you to get to the end of the other thing. So it is very important to be in the forefront. You have to put that there. Don't let it be the thing that controls you. It's the thing that you control. That's where I'm different at. I'm going to focus on the money. I'm not out here to do charity alone. I do charity where necessary. I do philanthropy where necessary. I do all the things where necessary. And when I'm in a great position to do it, you only can be in a great position to do that when you put yourself in that position. So income funds the mission. But without structure, without you understanding that it is a tool and not the thing, it disappears. But when you understand it's a tool to build the thing, you can create assets that continue to prosper you, protect your vision, and that structure keeps you. Kudos to Luel, who did not just leave the NBA with memories. A lot of times we insert ourselves in things, and when we leave, it's just memories. We celebrate individuals when they're done, it's just memories for them. And it just popped in my head thinking about um oh, what is the actor? Oh, his name Bruce Willis. Prayers out to him, but it just shocked me when I was reading how he doesn't even remember he was an actor. All the exceptional movies that he's done with his mental health that he's dealing with. Thank God has beautiful families around him and hopefully continue to pour those stories into him. But my gosh, to put all that work in and you don't even remember I I was him. You don't remember that. But having assets and putting yourself in a position where you didn't just focus on income would even help you sustain and be in a better position to help a family member or even yourself that's in a situation like that, that's going to cause. So that's why it's great for us to own and to build assets and to build things that will continue to pour into us because we don't know. We don't know our lives or how we may be called to help other people's lives, but to be put ourselves in a position to be able to handle both is what I believe we're called here to do, to not lack, to not be a borrower, but be the lender. But he didn't just leave with the NBA with memory. He left the NBA with leverage. He said, "I'm using this situation to level up." And his type of leverage is the difference between being successful and being free. So, yes, again, as you've seen, this segment is not about athletes. Well, thank you, but it's not about athletes. His service came through being an athlete, but him as the person. That's what this is about. It's about how society trains people to earn but not win. How income is all of the noise that gets people attention, but ownership builds, and sometimes it builds in silence, stability, but it builds our legacy, living and beyond. And the real flex is not how much you make. It's how long your money keeps working when you stop. Not how much you make, but what you make with how much you have. Thank you for tuning in to another great segment of the Seek Elevation experience, where I aim to have very powerful conversations. But please share, as I talked about with the circle, as I talked about elevating up, please share. When you share, it even puts this in the algorithm to reach more people, just like it's reaching you. And who knows who it needs to reach. But also know the more you share, the more you care. But the more you know, the more you grow. Keep subscribe, connect, stay in tune, especially for season 4. I'm so excited. I decide I'm going to bring guests back on in the manner in which I'm doing it and why. We're still working that out. But I've had so many people contact me about being on a show. I thank you. I thank you for your interest. I thank you for seeing believing that what I am doing is aligned to what you're doing, that it's purposeful, that is great. I appreciate you. I do. So I am finding a way to bring some people on. This season, it will not be a weekly thing, but I will find ways to incorporate individuals. How I do that, it is coming. I'm in conversation currently with quite a few people, and we will do that. So again, the more you learn, the more you definitely can earn, especially for my segments. Don't keep this knowledge to yourself. Spread the wisdom. Tag a friend. Let's continue. Let's continue. Let's go 2026. Let's go. Let's continue to elevate together. Until next time, keep striving, keep growing, but most importantly, keep seeking elevation, peace, and progress.